Good morning everyone, welcome back to another video. Welcome to my first video of 2024. Smashing it this year. I just feel like in the last year I've been like the worst commitment like to YouTube giver. I don't even know, words are not wording right now. I just basically keep on coming back saying like, oh, I'm back, you know, I'm gonna get on things, and then I do like a couple of videos and then I'm like, phew, Houdini. And to be really real with you, the main reason for that is just because I'm a one-man band and clinic life is going amazingly. I absolutely love my clinic, I love working with my clients, and it's just really building and it's just so exciting. But I'm definitely at a point where I really need to start thinking about maybe a little bit of extra help. Definitely maybe the year I get something like a VA, that's the word, isn't it? A virtual assistant. So yeah, it's exciting times, but it just means that I'm kind of spread in a lot of different directions and I need to learn how to balance that better. So it's a work in progress, you know? Anyway, my love for YouTube has always been there because I am definitely a verbal person. Like, I am not a blogging girl. I'm not so good with words. I actually am really convinced I am dyslexic, like undiagnosed dyslexic. I literally tick nearly every single box for that. Funny enough, I met a woman down my gym not so long ago, and she actually was like an examiner essentially for, like, you know, looking at kids with dyslexia and even adults as well. Had a big chat with her and she was literally like, yeah, it sounds like you're definitely dyslexic. So yeah, words just aren't really my vibe in terms of writing. I just feel like my brain works so quickly as well. I mean, you might get that through my videos, but I mean, particularly when I'm working with clients, I'm like, oh, there's so much information I want to share, and it's just like, I just want to get it all out. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, love the video content. We get that, Ebony. But anyway, through this time, I just haven't lost that love for YouTube, and I keep on thinking like, oh, I really want to get back, and I keep on thinking like, what kind of content, you know, do I want to come back with? Because I also feel like social media content has changed so much, and I think it's really easy to get caught up in thinking, you know, what content should I be posting? Like, you know, see what other people are doing, what's getting views and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, recently I've just been like, do you know what? I just kind of actually want to ignore all that, because I'm not necessarily posting videos to become like, you know, some huge bloody influencer or something like that. I just like posting videos because it's just a really nice way for me to communicate, honestly. So I have decided I'm just gonna like go with the flow and kind of film things naturally to me. And that brings me on to today's topic, because something that, you know, I mentioned it in one of my recent past videos, but me and Rob are working on a baby. We're working on it. That's probably quite a cringy way to say it, but anyway, we are putting that energy out there that we are going to be bringing a child into the mix, but it hasn't happened yet. So I was really thinking, do you know what? I really would love to share my fertility journey, but also share it in real time. I know some people might wait until they fall pregnant and then like do like a recap, but I thought, do you know what? I'm just gonna be open and vulnerable throughout this experience and just share it, because so far I've got so much to share with you guys, so I'm gonna catch up, you know, on today. It's been a bit of a journey so far and it's only been 5 months. I'm very, very early on, by the way, for anyone watching, like in terms of trying, because I know there's people who are out there who, you know, trying for 4 years. I mean, I've got clients who I work with who have been trying for, you know, multiple years and struggling to conceive. So I truly, truly understand, you know, the journeys with it. And you know what, it's also a really good reminder, like for example, as a job, I mean, if anyone's new to my channel watching this video, sorry, I'm about to do my lemon water, so I'm like playing with lemons. I am a naturopathic nutritionist. It's hard to really say where I specialise now because my clinic honestly goes so broad. It started off as acne and skin concerns, but I definitely work a lot in women's health, gut concerns, thyroid concerns. Honestly, I really do go out in all different directions nowadays. But with working in women's health, one of the areas I do work in is helping women conceive and work on their fertility journeys. And I mean, I've got clients falling pregnant left, right and rhubarb. But is it happening for me straight away? No. And that's fine. I really am trusting in things will happen as they're meant to. All I can do is put my energy into supporting my health and, you know, creating the environment in my body to best support falling pregnant, and do the same for my partner. But beyond that, you know, I'm just trying to trust in timing and just allow life and things to pan out as they're meant to happen. And because I am so early days with trying, that's definitely the energy I'm trying to hold on to and go with. I really need to make my lemon water because my kettle is boiled and I've not done anything about it. I'll tell you what I'm actually going to make in a minute is the lemon and ginger cubes. If anyone follows me on Instagram, you might have seen a while ago I just posted a reel and I was doing these like lemon and ginger cubes. Guys, game changer, okay? Because like right now, having to cut up the lemon, you know, get out the little thing, where is it? Get out this little thing, do you want me to manually squeeze it? All of this, it may seem simple when we're talking about it, but it's all effort, you know, in the morning. So trying to cut out this effort in the morning, honestly, is going to make you so much more consistent with, you know, for example, this is a habit, but you can apply these small little hacks and habits to other things as well. So I've been making these lemon and ginger cubes where basically I just juice up a whole load of lemons, look, they're all sitting on the top here, a whole load of lemons, and then a whole load of ginger, and then I put it into ice cube trays, freeze it, and I literally have like a month's worth. And all I have to do in the morning is pop an ice cube out and then pour hot water on top. We love it. So I'm gonna quickly make this, and then I might just sit on the sofa with you and just start catching up of my fertility journey so far. Okay, so a little detour of the plan, because I turned off the camera and then I was like, who am I right now? Of course I'm gonna eat first. Like my appetite in the morning, like we're hungry, and that's a sign of a good metabolism. So breakfast has to take priority. So I quickly made that, but before I'm just gonna eat this, I thought I'd actually just share my little lineup, because we've got a little like digestive juice lineup here going. So first up, we have apple cider vinegar in some water diluted, and we're gonna get this down to help support stomach acid. I know so many people really hate the taste of this, but I actually kind of really don't mind it. Done. Now, in the clips of me making my eggs, you might have noticed I had some greens go in. So that was watercress to add in some bitter herbs into my meal. But I also like to use this organic bitter spray. This is by Biogena. Super easy just to have on hand. Great if you're traveling as well. And we're going to do 2 spritz of this in the mouth. It's like a bit of like a 1 second, 2 second delay until it like kicks into your taste buds. The reason why I'm taking the bitters is because bitter foods will help stimulate the digestive secretions, particularly good for stomach acid, but also very, very good for your digestive enzyme release, which you need to help break down your foods and digest properly. And also by supporting your stomach acid and digestive enzyme release, you're also going to be triggering off that bile production, which is a very, very important part of detoxification. Important part of digestion, because you need that to help break down and absorb your fats, but also a very, very important part of detoxification because bile gets released from the liver and gallbladder, and it's essentially a bit like house cleaning for your digestive system. Like it will go through and it'll help clean out any remnants and sweep things through. So it's a very, very important part of detoxification pathways. Okay, and then the last one we have is also a bitter. So this is dandelion. So this is a little shot of dandelion that I'm going to take. So yes, it's going to continue helping with all the benefits of the bitters I just mentioned, but the other reason that I'm taking this is because dandelion is amazing for your liver and supporting liver flow and function. So we're going to get this down. This is the one that I don't enjoy. It is pretty vile. So this is why I always do it last, so I can do it and then dive straight for the food. Oh my God, I hate that so much. Tastes so nasty, but it's really good for you. Sitting down to talk about my fertility journey, my brain is like, where do we even start? There's so much to say on this. I think the place to start is actually about 6 months to a year before actually actively trying to conceive, because that's definitely where like Rob and I's journey started. That as a practitioner is actually one of my biggest recommendations. Like if it's an option that you can, you know, prep before you actually start actively trying to conceive, 100% do so. There's so many reasons why we're prepping. It's not just about prepping, you know, to help reduce like risk factors in the baby and just support a healthy, you know, baby and pregnancy, but it's also obviously to improve your chances of conceiving, improve the journey throughout that as well, like the journey of particularly when you get pregnant and going into that time, because once you're pregnant, like you are in it, do you know what I mean? So if we can prep the body to really be in a really nice optimal health state, or as optimal as we can be at that time, it's just going to really, really help not only the baby's health, but your health as well as you go into that. So going back 6 to 12 months ago, definitely the first place, you know, port of call really in the journey is working on those dietary and lifestyle aspects. Now in today's video, I don't want to like have that take up most of the video. Like, so if you really do want me to like do a video and to talk about what are the dietary things and the lifestyle things that we changed and worked on, then leave a comment down below. I'll do that separately. But I feel like for me, I had a lot of those things in place anyway, just naturally, just with my line of work. So for me, the changes were quite subtle, really. There's maybe just a few things I put a bit of an extra like oomph on, and that was kind of the same for Rob as well. It was just tightening up on a few things. Now, the first thing we definitely dived into though, like really fully, was testing. And that is something that definitely, if you have the option to do before conceiving, highly recommend it. Now, when trying to get your health to, you know, the most optimal place you can, the gut is always going to be a really strong starting place because everything goes back to it. You know, if you have got a poor gut health and that is your foundation, that is going to ricochet through other areas of your health. So it's a really smart starting place. But particularly for me, you know, as the woman who is trying to carry the child, and definitely when we think about pregnancy, like we do pass on our microbiomes to our child. That is something that I really wanted to work on before we actually started actively conceiving. And also I wanted to find out, is there anything in there that I need to deal with? Because, you know, if I did a gut test when I'm, let's say, pregnant and found out, oh, hang on a minute, there's a load of bacteria here we don't want in there, or there's, you know, imbalances, you're very limited with what you can do, because obviously you can't start taking, you know, the precautions like antimicrobial herbs and things when you're pregnant. So you really want to address these things before you conceive. So again, it goes back to that notion of that's going to, one, support the child's health that you are, you know, hoping to create, but also it is supporting your health as well as you're going through that time. So that was definitely something that we started with. And also from the man side, you know, if getting pregnant is a 50-50 thing, I think that's something so important to always, you know, keep as our focal point at the front, because as the woman who is trying to, you know, physically become pregnant, we tend to carry a lot on ourselves, and we think if it's not happening, what am I doing wrong? Or, you know, what, you know, we think it's a failure to ourselves, and actually it's so 50-50. You know, you could be in a great health state, but it might be your partner maybe that's part of the reason why the pregnancy is not happening. So we have got to always look at things as that 50-50 unity when trying to get pregnant, like you're both on that journey together. So that was also the thing, is that looking into Rob's gut was very important, because you know, his health is also going to be the foundation of the child that we're creating. So yeah, that's definitely where we started. I mean, I'm not going to go into Rob's results in too much detail because that is not my information to share, but I'll share the things that came up in mine, definitely. But from Rob's side, it was so fascinating because there was so much that came up in his test results, which I think it really shocked him as well, because he didn't really have any symptoms per se, but when we ran his test, it was like, oh my God, there was more in his stuff. Like, put it this way, there was more in his gut test that he needed to correct than I needed to work on. So that definitely embarked Rob on a good like 3 to 6 month journey, just from that one test alone. By the way, if anyone's wondering what test I did, it was the GI map. That is the test that I run with all my clients as well. Also, just to say now, I know I mentioned at the very start that I do work with fertility clients. I do actually have a whole package for fertility clients where we include all the tests which I would recommend you run when you're trying to conceive. Also, that package is obviously great for people who have been trying to conceive and they're unsuccessful so far. That is definitely a great package for you to get on and get some more information about your body and what's going on. And I'll put my website, if I say email, I'll put my website down below so you can see the information about that. But yeah, if you know interested in doing testing or anything, just send me also an email. I'll put my email down below as well, and I can send information, you know, if necessary on those things. Anyway, but it's called the GI map by Diagnostic Solutions, and it's just such a fantastic gut test. As a practitioner, I run so many different types of gut tests, and that is definitely my favorite. I find it the most comprehensive, and I just love it. I just feel like I get the most from that one. So anyway, things came up in Rob's test, so he started embarking on a protocol that I put him on for a good 3 to 6 months. In my own test, this was so interesting to me. I actually did share my first set of results actually on my YouTube channel. So if you want to scroll back and have a little peek, you can. Now, the test I did in that video was the GI effects, and just from like the tests that I've tried so far, that's now not really the one that I go with. I do still, I prefer the GI map now. But anyway, it was still a good test. It gave me the information that I needed to see. And the results essentially told me that definitely my microbiome was very depleted. And that was so interesting to me because it was a really good reminder of like, it doesn't matter how healthy, your food is, like, if some things you need a bit of supplemental support to really shift, and I really saw that was the case for me. Like, my diet and everything was in such a good place, but my microbiome was not reflecting that at all. My journey with my gut health was definitely all around rebuilding back my microbiome, and going back to what I said about why we do the gut testing in terms of preconception, is that if I hadn't tested and I just had that really depleted microbiome, one, that's not doing me any health favors, but also I don't want to, pass that on to my baby if I can help it, and if I actually have the option to change that. So yeah, anyway, that was definitely the journey that I was on, was rebuilding that back up. Another thing that came up in that gut test as well is I had a really high level of something called beta-glucuronidase, which is part of your estrobolome, so the estrogen pathway through the bowel. And that was like, oh my God, like so shocking, because it was very, very, very high. And when we look at that marker, that's telling me, one, the estrobolome is going to be affected, but also like liver function, like the ability for my estrogen to clear out my bowel. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like I didn't have any hormonal symptoms, by the way, just to also throw this in. Like when I'm doing testing, it's not like I'm riddling with any symptoms. I really felt great. My cycles were great, had no PMS on my cycles, like everything was ticking really, really well. But when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, my body is actually not clearing and metabolizing through this pathway optimally. So that was also something that I really worked on a lot. And that's also like when I at the beginning of this video I was taking the dandelion, I've been doing a lot of liver work to really support my liver and clearing and the metabolizing of the hormones, but also the liver as an organ has over 500 functions. So it's such an important organ to make sure that we're supporting and the rivers are flowing, essentially. So anyway, Rob and I embarked on our little gut journeys and really worked on correcting the results that came back. And then I definitely have retested. Rob is actually still yet to retest. I'm like, hun, you need to retest. I definitely retested. I was on that straight away. And I'm so happy to say my microbiome has completely rebuilt. All my bacteria are back into a really healthy place. Beta-glucuronidase came right the way down. My digestive markers improved. It was just so much improvement. Even unwanted bacteria that I was trying to get rid of, that cleared out, and it was just looking in such a better place. The only thing that still came up on my second test was my bile function was still a bit suboptimal. So again, go back to what I said at the beginning, I'm still working on my liver function and making sure I'm really supporting these digestive processes. So yeah, that was really the key thing that came back on my second test. So right now, gut is definitely in a better place. Now, Rob and I had the goal that we would start trying to conceive September of 2023. So to be honest with you, all the gut work that we were doing really took us up actually until that time, because this is the other thing just to also make a point of, if you're working on your gut, and it doesn't even have to be fertility, if you're just watching this video just because you're interested, if you're working on gut for other things in your for your health, gut healing does not happen overnight. When I work with clients, particularly on gut work and GI maps, I say to them, like, realistically, you need a good 6 months, like at least really with that. So you do need to make sure, you are putting in that time with gut healing, and don't expect things to change, within like a week, okay? So yeah, doing all that gut work really did take up a lot of that time. So that actually took us up to September. And like I said earlier, like I was feeling really good. I track my cycles, so I do track my cycles with natural cycles, and I knew I was ovulating. Hormones were feeling really great, no symptoms coming up around my period. Rob was feeling really good, his diet and everything was in a good place. So we were like, do you know what, let's just start trying and we'll just see what happens. So we started trying, and obviously it wasn't, didn't happen in the first month, didn't happen in the second month. And a test that I knew I wanted to do, and really, I do recommend people do it before you actually start conceiving, is test your minerals. Because mineral balancing is so important for a multitude of reasons. One, so the mineral test I use, by the way, is called a HTMA. So we look at the minerals through the hair. And one of the big pros of that is that when you're looking through the hair, we get a really good insight into your cellular function. So that's a big comparison compared to when you look at minerals through blood, because blood minerals are essentially extracellular, so out of the cell, and they can change quite quickly. So when we want to look at someone's overall mineral status, it's hard to really see that true balance through a blood sample, because these things can change quite quickly. Let me just check the time because I do have a workout. Okay, no, I'm good. Anyway, so yeah, so with a HTMA, we can see a good 90 days of that person's mineral status. And through that HTMA, we can see how the cells are functioning and responding, which is so, so important, because in terms of hormones as well, just always remember, hormones are never root cause. If hormones are struggling, we have to go deeper. We've got to figure out where's the messaging going wrong, essentially, because they are chemical messengers. And your cellular function is such a foundational pillar, because if the cells aren't working properly, they are not going to be communicating and responding, particularly with hormones, optimally as well, okay? So minerals are so important. But if there's any massive, massive tip or information to take from today's video, when you do finally, you know, fall pregnant and you are going through your pregnancy, your baby like drains you dry of your minerals. That baby is going to be sucking all it can get through that placenta. So if you go into pregnancy already very mineral depleted or even imbalanced, one, you can come out the other side even more depleted. So when you do go into that postpartum era, you know, this is why a lot of women struggle even more so, because they come out basically and their body's in such high demand, because obviously they're into that postpartum part of looking after a child now, but also their body literally doesn't have the tools and the toolkit to be really functioning and supporting the needs, essentially, that, you know, that it's under. So considering your minerals and supporting your minerals through pregnancy is so, so important. So this is why this also comes into that preconception part, because you really want to know, like, where are your minerals sitting, what's going on there, so you can optimize it before you go in, because it's also going to also make for a better journey through that time as well. So we were about, I think maybe it might have just been the first month in, I was like, right, I need to test my minerals. So I did that straight away. And then that brought on the next part of the journey. And I was like, oh my gosh. So my mineral test came back, and essentially, to put this like into a little snapshot, oh my gosh, sorry, I just remembered another part of my thyroid. Okay, so the mineral test came back, and basically my minerals were definitely out of balance. But one of the really big imbalances for me was my calcium was slightly creeping up, so it's been pushed into my soft tissues and not going into my bones where it should do. But my potassium was so low. And calcium, potassium, you really need those in balance to have healthy, optimal like thyroid function, because you need potassium to get thyroid hormone into the cell. So my thyroid ratio with my minerals was really, really off. And I was like, oh my gosh, because from a fertility perspective, your thyroid function is really, really important. Like if you're having thyroid issues, it's definitely going to make that conception part harder, right? So the last 3 months, I'm actually just coming up to my end of my 3rd month, so I'm definitely going to be retesting soon. So in the future, I'll give you an update of like where the minerals are now sitting. I've been doing a lot of mineral balancing to really start working on my cell function, essentially, to get my cells responding to my hormones better, particularly my thyroid. So that was definitely a big thing I've been working on. But then the other side of my thyroid test, not my thyroid test, oh my god, I'm gonna get to the thyroid because I did have a thyroid test, so that's why it's in my head. But basically, the other side of this HTMA test was the heavy metals. Like, when I say I had a shock, okay? So I got my mineral test back, and my heavy metals, I had mercury really high, and I also had cadmium. Now, out of those two, I mean, mercury is very serious, but cadmium, I was like, I mean, that shouldn't come out through your hair. And I had pretty high levels. So I was like, oh my God, this is such an issue here. Because firstly, another thing with trying to conceive is that, and this is what I say to my clients, I was like, one of our goals is we need to get your body into the safest environment, right? That body needs to feel safe and confident that now is a good time to carry a child. So when you are getting test results back, this is why we look at the gut as well, because if there's like parasites or pathogens or things leaking around there, like, you know, that's not, the body's going to also see that's not a safe environment. Or like, for example, safety can also come in other aspects, like simply things like not eating enough. You know, the body's very clever. It knows it's not getting what it needs. It's like, no, we're not in a place right now to carry a child. Like, the body is so clever. So anyway, going back to the HTMA, when I saw that cadmium, I'm like, wow, this is a big, you know, issue. This is really serious, because cadmium is, as a metal as well, very carcinogenic. So also, this is where then like the whole other aspect comes in, where yes, I'm working on my fertility journey, but I'm like, hang on a second, this is my health, you know, like, and this is where, you know, the medicine that I work in shines. Like, this is preventative medicine. Like, I need to get this down, because, you know, this is kind of more than just my fertility at this point. Diving into metals and detoxing metals out my body, and that's been an interesting journey, because if you follow me on Instagram, I don't know if I've still got the pictures, but basically when I just first started like supporting my minerals, because also, by the way, as you support your cells and get the cells functioning better, you're going to improve your body's ability to detox as well. So that's also going to help, like in my case, detox my heavy metals out. Anyway, so I was embarking on this protocol that I put together for myself and my minerals, and in the first couple of weeks, like, I was getting breakouts. Like, I was getting some breakouts coming up. Like, you could definitely tell my body was having like a detox response. It lasted very temporarily. It was only like a couple of weeks, maybe a month. And I mean, you can see, like, I've got no makeup on right now. Like, my skin's gone back to normal now. But anyway, that's a journey that I've also been on. And I tell you a really interesting thing about cadmium. Opened up like a whole new door for me, which I didn't really, you know, fully know about all of this before, is that one of the sources, because obviously that's the thing I've got to figure out, is like, where am I getting this cadmium exposure from? And one of the things that can be really high in cadmium can be chocolate. I mean, I love chocolate. I feel like a lot of people in like the naturopathic space also love chocolate, because we know that good quality dark chocolate is a great source of magnesium and zinc, and obviously it's a really nice sweet alternative, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, chocolate is definitely was a staple in my life. And I tell you what, I did this test. I think I did the test maybe in mid-December. I think I actually did my HTMA potentially. And in like mid-November, I bought a velvetizer from a hotel. I always say chocolate, but it's chocolat. I know you meant to say it like that or something. Anyway, I bought a velvetizer from there, so I started having hot chocolates pretty much on the daily. So I was like, oh my God, like, maybe this is where I'm getting all this cadmium from. So like, I did a deep dive into like chocolate quality and found actually so many brands are notorious for having a lot of these heavy metals. So it was a real big eye-opener for me. I feel like I should do a post about that on like Instagram or something at some point, because it was so like eye-opening for me. I feel like a lot of you guys will find that interesting as well. I looked into brands of, you know, what have the lowest in cadmium, but if I'm going to be honest with you, for the last like month, I've not touched chocolate once, which I cannot actually honestly believe really, to a point, because like I was like kind of addicted to it in a way. Like, I loved my chocolate. Like, you know, after dinner or something, have like a little square of chocolate or like a little hot chocolate. I love that. It brought me so much happiness. And I thought like cutting it out, oh my God, this is going to be so hard. But I must say, like, with actually really working on like my nutrition and like keeping all my protein up and like really working my main meals, like, I actually don't have any desire for like sweets and cravings and like anything like that. So cutting it out has actually been a lot easier really than I thought it would be. Like, I actually forget about it now. But I'm so intrigued to see what the next mineral test comes back with, because I've been doing so much work on that. I'm taking a lot of things to support detoxification at the minute. And yeah, time's gonna tell. We'll see in the next HTMA, which I will share the results when I do that test. One thing I am expecting though is it may not be a case where it's like I get the results back and the metals are just gone, because what's quite common, particularly when you first get into HTMA testing, is that when you are improving your minerals, like I said, you're improving your body's ability to detox. So actually sometimes, a lot of time, people can have more metals and more things hidden away in the body. So when they do a second test, actually some things can jump up higher, but it can be a good sign, because it means the body's actually getting rid now of the things that it's holding on to. So that was the HTMA test. Let me just touch on this thyroid thing, because I did have a thyroid test. So basically, I just wanted to have like a full panel done and just check in like what my blood thyroid levels were saying. And I also really wanted to check for autoimmunity markers, because I was having a bit of gluten and I just really wanted to know, like, is that something that I'm okay having a bit of in my diet, or is that something that was actually aggravating inflammation pathways in my body? So, because I did a video, a couple like videos back, all on the thyroid. So if you have anything going on with your thyroid and you're like, oh, why is she saying that about gluten? Go watch that video. Okay, so I had a full thyroid panel done, and actually all of that came back really good. No autoimmunity was present. All my thyroid markers were looking in a good place. So yeah, that was like a big check off the list. Now, I then also, I went to my GP. What did I go for my GP for? Oh, I remember. I went to my GP to see what thyroid markers they were willing to test. They were only going to do like TSH on me, so that's why I went off and like paid for a full panel. But after talking actually with my doctor, for, you know, in that conversation, I basically said that I'm trying to conceive, and she was actually really great and actually was like, you know, let's run some hormone tests on you, and obviously I'm not going to say no to anything. So she actually did run a few tests on me as well, and she tested my progesterone. And another really bit of good news is those results came back and my progesterone is like super high. So one thing good to know is that my progesterone is definitely in a really, really strong place. Like it was honestly to the point where I think the cycle that I ovulated when she tested, there could have been a potential that I might have even ovulated 2 eggs that cycle. God, could you imagine if I fell pregnant and had twins? Oh. But anyway, all the results came back really, really strong and good. There was nothing there, like, even obviously from my perspective, because obviously I'm going to look at those test results. I mean, they're telling me like everything's fine, but obviously I'm like, the first thing I was like, give me a copy, because I want to have a little look through and just make sure like things are actually in an optimal place and not just like high end or low end of like a scale. So yeah, I double checked it all and everything was looking really, really good. I actually had this appointment yesterday morning, so this is very fresh off the press news. So we went through the results and obviously everything was looking good. So then my doctor was like, oh, let's get your partner looked into, and said like, you know, we should get his semen like tested, have a little look at like how his swimmers are swimming essentially. That I was actually really surprised at and really grateful really to that doctor, because I mean, particularly with, you know, my experience working in this field, like it's very hit and miss. Like some doctors can literally just turn around and say, you know, we're not going to look into things until you're a year unsuccessful with conceiving. So yeah, I felt really, you know, really grateful that that doctor was, you know, so willing. So that was really positive for me to also see as well, because I really do experience all ends of the spectrum when I'm working with clients and different doctors. So yeah, that's really the next step of the journey. Rob actually called up yesterday and he's got an appointment booked in. So we're going to be, yeah, looking a bit further into that side. And also I'm still, oh, I completely forgot to also mention, this is another huge part as well. Going back to the minerals, we also tested Rob's minerals. And that was also very, very shocking actually, because he had a lot of, so again, I'm not going to go into the depths of his test results, again, not my information to share, but I will just say he had a lot of copper coming out in his minerals, which was a big red flag, because that definitely can affect fertility for sure. So that's something that he's now on like another little protocol to support. So yes, that was just another little piece of the puzzle. There were some things that came up in Rob's HTMA, so we're also optimizing his minerals now at the same time. And another thing that we've also done recently is, so in terms of like a lifestyle aspect, something that I did quite a lot was like going to a sauna. Now, as soon as we started trying, I definitely like do not sauna like around ovulation and until my period. So in my luteal phase, like absolutely not, I'm not going near a sauna. But Rob was still, he was still going to the sauna, and it was only until like maybe basically a month and a half ago that I turned around and said, look, like I really think you actually just should stop for the moment, because there is a lot more research in the men's side of this where too much heat obviously on the testicles can really impact sperm quality and like motility and things. So there's a lot around that. So I said to Rob, like, you know, for what it's worth, just stop for the moment. Because I basically said to him, look, hon, like, you just need to stop now. And as soon as I fall pregnant, you're free, you know? You are free to go back into your life. And I'm the one then for 9 months, do you know what I mean, where I'm not going to be able to do any of those things, you know, like saunaing and things. So I was like, you know, let's just come on, let's just go all out here, stop it, because it definitely could be playing a role into it. So it'll be really interesting to see if that plays into this as well, because he's now been free from the sauna for about a month and a half, I probably would say, maybe around a month or so. They say that one like sauna session can have a lasting effect on that sperm quality and motility for like 3 months, I think it is. so is it 70 days or it's like 70 days or 3 months or something like that. Anyway, so I was like, okay, right, let's take this out. And it'd be so interesting. Imagine like if we fall pregnant, do you know what I mean? And that's like fits in with that timeline. I mean, that's definitely something to consider, particularly if your partner is doing these, you know, types of wellness supporting, like, you know, habits. So yeah, that is really bringing us up to present day. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I've missed out there. The purpose of today's video is I really just wanted to lay out the timeline, essentially the path that we've been walking on so far, and the things we've been looking into and things that have happened and come up, etc. So that really just from this video onwards I can start to create content and like update you in real time, and yeah, bring you on the journey now from this point. So yeah, I think they're kind of like the key things. Like, you know, in future videos I'll fill in some of the missing gaps and give out like more of like the specific details, like we discussed about diet or like lifestyle and like other factors like that, and of course like updates on test results and that kind of stuff. I think the only other thing I do just want to say, because this is something that I've really been working on in the last 2 months, is like really truly just relaxing into this process. Like obviously, you know, I'm in a position where there is a lot that I do know, right? So I'm also in a place where it's like I don't want myself to then to become too obsessive, do you know what I mean, over it, because obviously I know a lot about, you know, what to look at and possibilities, could it be this, could it be that, do you know what I mean? I'm really trying to, yes, like go with the same recommendations to support I would do with my client, but really embody like just my own journey and just allowing my body to be and just allow things to happen when it's meant to happen. And part of that has actually been, like I mentioned, I track my cycles on Natural Cycles. I have still been tracking my temperatures because I do, you know, want to just check that, you know, ovulation, all that kind of stuff is still going well and everything. But I'm really trying to like not really look at the app. Like I'll put my temperature in and then I'll just like get straight off of it, because I don't really want to be seeing, you know, when it comes up red or green, like, you know, today's like your fertile day and like you should start trying. I don't really want to see that because I feel like it becomes a bit too robotic. And again, I don't enjoy that. Like I really want it to be just, I don't know, just happen naturally. Of course, like I'm mindful, I know when I'm ovulating, but I don't want it to be like, oh babe, I'm ovulating, like let's go. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just, it takes the fun out of it. And I do think that also plays a role when you're trying to conceive. Like I truly do believe like that energy, if it's too robotic, I don't think it's going to happen as easily that way. I'm very excited to, you know, share this journey now with you. I'm very aware that it's a very vulnerable thing to do because I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know whether I'm going to be making a video in like a month or 2 time saying, oh my God, guys, I'm pregnant. Or I don't know whether I'm going to be like in 8 months time still making videos like it hasn't happened yet, you know? So I'm embracing the vulnerability of this, and I also just know there's so many people out there on these journeys who are struggling, and I just think like if I can share my journey also from a perspective of a practitioner and just share my little tidbits and, you know, information along the way, that could really help some people out there. So that's why, that's really my driving force of why I really want to start sharing this journey. Also, I know the community on YouTube in this like fertility, trying to conceive space is very, very big. So I'm also very excited to, you know, enter into that community and start meeting other women and couples who are on the same journey. So yeah, I'm excited for it, and we're here to support each other, you know what I mean? So if you're still listening to this video now, thank you so much for listening to my journey so far. I'm really, really happy to have you here. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Guys, I'm just taking my thumbnail for this video, and I just want to tell you guys quickly about this as well, because this is another thing that I've done very, very recently. So basically I was in France visiting my mum, and obviously I talk to my mum all the time about my fertility journey, and obviously like about how much I just, you know, really want to be a mum and I just cannot wait, and we just talk about it all the time. And we were in a shop and I saw these little baby clothes, and I was like, I mean, I can't help myself. Anytime I'm in a shop and I see baby stuff, I'm like, let's have a little look. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, you know, just for my future child, I'm like, let's just have a little look. And I was looking at these and I was like seeing the, you know, they're made from organic cotton, all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, they're so cute. And then I was like, do you know what? I'm going to get one and manifest this child into my life. The first time I told Rob I did this, I think he was a bit like, are you okay? I'm like, no, hun, we need to manifest. Like, it sounds crazy, but I literally, like, when I got this, I got it home and I took it out of the packet, I literally stood there like this. I was like, manifest this child into my life, please. Like, honestly, the day, you know, because I'm putting it out there, it's going to happen. The day I have my first child and they are wearing this, stop, because it's making my eyes like well up now. I didn't expect that. Oh, listen, if this is how I'm responding now, the day that that happens, I am going to be a mess. But I just think with like the body, like having this, for example, and like feeling this in my hand and like really imagining, like, and you know, imagining to myself like, yes, you know, being pregnant and having a child and like trying to bring it more into like reality, if that makes sense, and sending those signals. I truly do believe that is also part of it. Like I you know, I always say to my clients, and no matter what their health journey is, like if you don't believe that your symptoms or your health journey or your, you know, your path is not going to change, like it honestly is really gonna, you're really gonna struggle. Like it won't change much. Like you have got to believe in your healing, and it's gonna be the same on a fertility journey. Like for me, I've like for a while actually, I think even when I knew I wanted to, you know, have a child, one thing that actually didn't feel natural to me was the thought of me having a bump. Like the thought of me being pregnant, I kind of like had these thoughts of like, I couldn't imagine it for myself in a weird way. Like it kind of felt very disconnected. And like recently, like that's what I've been really thinking about. I was like, no, I need to change that. And that's why I actually got this, because I must say it really has helped, because it sounds bizarre. Like people who get it. Anyone who's watching this, like, this is like so odd, you know, fine. But when you get it, you get it. And like embodying it, like I now actually really have changed how I think about that, and I can imagine myself pregnant now. I just really think that's part of the journey as well. So anyway, just to say, that's why I have a little baby girl. This is my little manifesting baby girl. And I tried to get one that was unisex, so we're not favouring a gender, we're just, you know, either a girl or a boy could go in this. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one.